Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Here's the next video from my landscape sketching series about folktale landscapes. And in this series I'm searching landscapes that could be the background for local legends and folktales, and I want to bring the atmosphere and the mood from those stories into my landscape sketches. So this time I have found a church ruin, an abandoned church, and I have a few photos here for you, and as you can see it's quite interesting. There is a cemetery in front of the church, and actually the church is still used for service from time to time, and it was a really fascinating, I'm not sure if you can even say building still, but there are trees. There were trees growing inside the church hall, and I decided on painting the picture that you can see here, where you sort of look into the altar room, and you can also see part of the big tree on the left. And so this was an interesting perspective for me, the look through the door into this sort of eerie old church. And you can see I've started here with my very light pencil sketch. I'm trying to get all of the angles and the basic shapes right. So I've zoomed in a little bit from my composition. I want the picture to have this sort of dark frame, but I don't want to have too much black around my sketch. So I'm taking my time using different kinds of pencils. So here you can see I'm using a very soft pencil, a 3B, and this will give me stronger lines and give different line qualities to the sketch. And I'm taking my time with the pencil sketch. So I'm working in watercolor this time, so the lines will show through the painting layers. So this time my sketch is based much more on the drawing than on the painting, and I'm adding all of these little things that I see, the cracks in the wall and all of the textures. I want to add all of these details with my pencil before I add color into the sketch. So now I've switched to watercolor, and I'm very lightly dabbing in this light stone wall here. You can see I'm really taking my time. This is a mix of yellow ochre and a bit of gouache white. And as the paint is still wet, I'm dropping in this darker yellow ochre to show that there are different qualities of light on the wall. And I'm doing the same for this stone arch. So this church was built in the 14th century originally, so it's a Gothic church, and you can see this in the details of the windows and the arches. And as I'm adding paint to the different areas of the painting, the ground and the walls, I'm thinking about where does the light come from? Where do I need to leave things lighter? Because with watercolor you can't really take anything away or remove the paint entirely so that you have the white background back, and so I want to proceed carefully here and really leave those white highlights so that they can show up as sunlight later in my sketch. You can see from time to time I'm blotting paint out of my painting again, so this can work if you're doing this if it's still wet. Taking my time with the tree here too, because I want the structure of the tree to show. And after the first layer is dry, I can go in with slightly less diluted paint and add second layer that's darker to really bring out the texture of the tree and the dark color. And by the way, let me know if you like seeing videos like this where I show parts of my painting process in real time, or if you prefer to see the entire painting process but in faster speed. So leave me a comment below. Let me know what you like to see. So for the back wall of the altar room, I want this really dark purple. And I'm adding the first layer for this. So this is not really a color that you can necessarily see in the reference image, but it was definitely, I definitely noticed a certain quality of light when I was standing in that church. And so this is the kind of stuff that you just need to try out. You just need to look at a lot of art, a lot of paintings to see how different people handle these sort of light situations. And for me, it made sense to add in this purplish hue, this color to the shadow areas of my painting. So I'm not an absolute master at this, but I like to try out different things. And for me, this color at this place made a lot of sense. So I'm adding a layer of details, of shadows to bring out the bricks a bit better. And I've switched my brush to a smaller size to be able to do this, adding all of these details. I'm using the Raphael Soft Aqua brushes here. I really like these brushes. They're synthetic round brushes, and they're supposed to be imitation squirrel. I really like them for doing sketches like these. So they don't have these really sharp pointy tips. They have rather slightly round tips, and I really like them for using in paintings like these. And I've bought them all myself, so I'm not getting paid by the company. Not getting free brushes, unfortunately. But they're not really expensive. They're really nice. So these are the kind of brushes that I can imagine taking out with me for landscape sketching in the field, because if you lose one, it's not really a big deal. You can just buy another one. You can see I'm darkening the ground, blotting away excess water from time to time. Now I really want these dark areas to stand out, so there's a lot of shadow in that scene and I want to reflect that in my sketch. And thanks to the cotton paper, I can really add a lot of layers in my sketch. So I've mixed a bit of white gouache into some of my colors here to bring out the leaves in the foreground. So I bring back some of the light areas in the foreground, because I think they're really interesting eye catchers in the foreground of the scene where there's not much detail to look at. Now I'm going for the big dark frame around the picture. So the first thing is I'm wetting down the entire area. You can see there's already a little bit of color in my painting water. Maybe I added it so you can see it better. That's probably the case. And then I'm adding a lot of dark paint. It's really a lot. So I want to make sure that I get the desired dark frame for this sketch in one go. I don't want to add a lot of layers to this dark area. So I'm painting it all in one go. I'm keeping the edges wet so that I can simply continue painting the dark frame. And this was actually a lot of fun to do. And I'm continuing a little bit of the dark shadow into the foreground area. So I can always come back to this with my gouache mix and the small brush to add detail back in. I'm using colored pencils to add more of the structure and the texture in the back. So I really like using colored pencil for these kind of things because they allow me to draw very fine lines, and I don't have to worry about water and paint ratios. So at this stage of the sketch, I really like to bring out my colored pencils and just add these little details everywhere. I'm removing the masking tape, always a fun step. So now you can see what it really looks like. And I think the dark frame in this sketch works quite well. So now the only thing that I want to do is add back in the little highlights, the little details. I'm doing a few of those with my colored pencil, and then the rest of the leaves with gouache paint, or rather a white gouache mixed in with watercolor. You want the gouache to be really creamy and really thick so that it will stand out and not sink into the lower layers of your painting. Adding just a little bit of highlight around the edges of this dark frame. And then the sketch is basically done. Well, it should be done, but I can't stop fiddling around in it. But now it's done. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, feel free to comment, like and subscribe. You can learn more about this series and why I do it in my other videos. I'll leave a playlist below for you. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!